A very good morning to you all. It's, let me see now, the 10th of November, Saturday morning. It's about 8:15 in the morning. I've just taken a little walk down the driveway and I really wanted to share with you all the sounds of the water, because yesterday it rained and rained and rained and rained, and it was getting like there was just such a saturation of everything. Now, of course, because of all the trees here, the land has absorbed the water well, but it's also because of the ponds and the stream, the excess water is being channeled away. Even as I speak, it's being channeled away and will continue to be channeled away. So there's a sound of water coming down into the ditch here on this side, on the right hand side of the driveway, and I'm sharing a boundary with a field that's used for cows, for grazing cows. And on the left hand side of the driveway, this is my land, and this is where the stream is running quite majestically. In fact, when we just have a little peep in here through all the foliage, you just see, there we go, you can see the run of that water and you can hear the sound of it. So we'll follow the water course right back up to the source, which of course is the spring well. And the spring well, of course, is a point coming from the aquifer where the pressure is quite high, because that's what spring wells in Ireland are. It's where there is a weak point in the aquifer, and of course that's where the pressure will build up. It's a bit like if you had a plastic bag filled with water and there was a little hole punctured in the bag. The more pressure you put on the plastic bag, the more forceful that water will pump out. Sammy Bear is still with me. He's still very frail, and I expect him to be very frail for some time to come. So I'm just nursing him back to health, and I'm supporting him in whatever it is he wants to do. So if he does want to go outside to go to the toilet, because he won't use the cat box indoors. He's a little creature of habit, so he likes to go out. So I'm just here with him, supporting whatever it is he wants to do. So that's a little update on Sammy. And it's very much day by day. I can't say for certain what's going to happen, later today or tomorrow, but those of you with sentient beings that you care for who are ill will know exactly what I'm talking about. You just have to go with the flow. Like this water, just go with the flow. So, we'll walk along the waterway. It's very calming, isn't it? I mean, the sound of running water. So there's the sun just coming up over the horizon. Yesterday was a very intense day. I didn't get the chance to make a video because I was just occupied with the Bealtaine. And there's the water flowing in from just over there, where I'm pointing the camera. And now you can see why it was imperative that I spent that week clearing the pondweed. Of course, I haven't actually moved that pondweed yet. It's still banked up around the banks. But when I get a chance, I will be moving that in and around the trees as a mulch. Now, I got quite a lot of emails. I'm sorry, I cannot respond to emails. It's just impossible. I don't have the time to do it. But one of the emails, I'm just trying to remember a question that was asked of me. I do read them all. One of the emails asked me how old I was when I started the Bealtaine project. Well, I started it 14 years ago and I'm 63 years old now. So I was 48, on the cusp of 49, I think that was it. And I'm glad so many of you found that little video that I made on... Oh, I'm just looking, thought I seen something there. And I made a little video on the compost, how to make compost. Cold compost, of course. Because again, I do not have the time to be messing about with compost, and there's no need to mess about with it. Now that just shows you the force of the water that fell yesterday. Can you see the little faux duck out there? I'll just zoom in so you can have a little look. Now that little faux duck is attached to a stone, right? And it was right up here in this little cove. And the force of the water movement and all the rain yesterday sent it right down there. Oh, look at the reflection of the willow in the water. Isn't that beautiful? My word, that is just so beautiful. I'm going to make this video and then come back here and take some photographs, because I like to post photographs up on Twitter. And, of course, the website. So this is the little stream. And of course, as is the Bealtaine Cottage morning tradition, I've got my coffee and I'm still in my Jim Jams. There we go, look. So this silt pond is now more of a stream bed, because the water has carved out its own little route. It's quite curvaceous. Go down that way. And of course water does like to flow in a sort of a curvaceous flow. Doesn't like these straight lines that humankind insist on making and forcing it into. Some beautiful light here, you know, with the rising sun. Just gorgeous. Look at those colours over there, just beyond the oak. My lovely oak tree. Look at that beauty. So we'll move on. Yeah. Just go up along the edge. Here you can see, and where the water was flowing so fast, a little bit of foam down there. Now I'm going to have to move very cautiously down here because of the wet earth and the potential slippiness of it. So excuse me just while I just hold on to the branch of the tree. I think the willow's probably best, it's nice and bendy. Woo! Now, back on terra firma. Beautiful morning light. It's gorgeous. Absolutely ethereal. And these beautiful big leaves of the horse chestnut. Look at the sunlight on that. So now we're moving up towards the source. You can hear the water just to the left of me. And the ground is still quite firm underfoot. There's no mushiness. Just shows me how well the trees are working at absorbing the fluid actually on the land itself. That's a fast flow. So we've got like a double waterfall going on there now. It becomes quieter up to the point of the spring well where you think there isn't even a flow from it. We come right up to the spring here. There's hardly a movement on it. Isn't that amazing? But that precious sacred water has been pumped out just through the pressure of the water in the aquifer. And there are little things now which are changing the courses of the paths, or the course of some of the paths, because this little holly tree has been growing here over the past 2 years, so I'm going to have to start moving around it. So this path is going to get quite curvaceous, just through the fact that there's a little tree decided to come up there. The same with here. We've got 2 little baby hawthorn trees, well, we've got more, but they're on either side of the path. Sunlight on the moss, on the blackthorn. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to go over this way and then walk back down to the pond because I want to take some photographs. It's impossible to surpass the beauty of Mother Earth. It's just not possible to do it. And I'm such a lover of art and beauty and all the wonderful creativity that people do. And it's to be lauded. There's so much wonderful beauty being created, but it's so hard to surpass. In fact, it's impossible to surpass what it is that Mother Earth does. Look at these little lichens now, just coming out from the stems of the tree. Look, aren't they wonderful? And this is something that I feel is worth mentioning at this point, because I have been aware of it for a long, long time, and recently I've been pondering on it, and that is the value of the arts within education. The arts, which span literature and art and craft and all the beauty that we are capable of creating, has been so diminished now within universities and third level education, as well as second level, well, all the way through the education system. And I became very aware of that when I lived in London and was teaching, and I'm very aware of it now because, to my shock and almost disbelief, we now have an education system where you can get a university degree in business studies. I was brought up under the impression that universities and education generally, I mean, you didn't have to go to university to be well educated. And I went to university quite late in life. And at that point, I certainly didn't feel that I was lacking in education. But I just wanted to explore the world more. And since I've come away from mainstream education and teaching and whatnot, and immerse myself in this project, which has been my life's work over the past 14 years. And I'm constantly looking out into the world that I sort of left. Say left, I mean I'm still in the world, but that kind of mainstream world. And just became aware of it living here in Ireland, of the continuing diminishment of the arts, and how when universities were kind of advertising themselves on the mainstream media, they were talking about, oh, come to this university and get a business degree and get a master's in business. And so it's business and technology and what I would call those straight path study areas. And I get the impression that if you have an arts degree, you're not really valued. That degree isn't valued as much as having a degree in technology or science or business studies. And of course the world, the entire system, the economic model, which is followed, strictly followed by the West, in fact not just by the West, by the entire world, is one of economic growth, continual economic growth. And places like Bealtaine Cottage hold absolutely zero value for the economic system. Now, of course, this is now beginning to change very slightly, because writing about Bealtaine Cottage and photographing it and videoing it and doing these little videos and keeping this little channel alive and thriving is bringing in an income for me, which is taxable. And of course, because I earn my own money, I now pay for my own health insurance. And I also pay what's called universal social charge, which is a tax, and I also pay PRSI, which is like a form of national insurance, that you pay in for state pension, etc. So this little model is somewhere on the very outside of that economic model that's followed by countries all over the world, and yet I'm still flying below the radar. But it's like everything else at Bealtaine, it is making a point, making a very valid point, that you can feed into the system and still support the system that you live in, and yet not be a part of it, not be a working part of it. So here we are back at the pond, the lower pond. The sounds of the water. I mean, great change has to come, because the economic model as it was, as it still pertains to the system, isn't working. It's very destructive. And if you have a destructive economic model, you're really being part of a self-destruct mechanism. We have to start valuing nature. We have to put a value on it. If each frog had a value, had a price on its head, if each bird, each bee, each insect, each fly, each, whatever it is that's living, each tree, each shrub, each plant, if there was a value on all of that, I would possibly be one of the wealthiest women in Northwest Ireland. But there's not a value on this. If I had left this land as it was, and if you go onto the website and look at the transformation and the before and after pictures, which are in the menu at the very top of the first page, the site, you will see what this place looked like. And the irony is, and actually the disgrace is, that there was a value on that monoculture emptiness, which is now lost. Because within the transformation to this land now holds absolutely no value whatsoever within the state system. And the reason why it holds no value, it's not planted with Sitka spruce monoculture, and it's not available for grazing animals. And that's the economic model. And because within the Bealtaine project I co-created this with Mother Earth, working, planting, continually planting, nurturing, supporting, within the economic model, the past 14 years has been a total waste of time. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know about the economic model that we follow? It's shocking, but that's how it is. And people often ask me about, would my neighbours not be inspired by Bealtaine to go and plant their land? Well, the short answer is absolutely not. They would not. There's no profit in this. Why would they do it? So Bealtaine Cottage doesn't hold any interest at all for the farming community, because and of course farming is what all the land in Ireland is used for, but it's not for growing any form of food. It's simply for grazing animals and growing meat. So, this is the economic model. For Mother Earth. And somewhere along the way, we have lost the value of that connection, in that we don't see a value in it. And that's the long and short of it.